Previously.
1, 2, 3.
X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
I know you can hear me. We're still connected.
Hello, and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. I am your host.
Foolish child.
No. Host.
Child.
Host.
Child.
Anyway, Skeleban, and with me, of course, is my co-host.
You want what I have? You want to feel what I feel?
Probably did end the same way for me, too, that it ended for him.
Arc-Andre, of course, is with us.
Hey.
How's it going?
Not too shabby, how about you?
Oh, you know, doing probably better than this movie. Oh, dropping some zingers already.
I've already made the fatal problem of telling Davin that this movie's better than I remembered. I'm not saying it's good.
No, but
doesn't mean it's good. It's just better than I remembered.
All right, well, you know what? You want to throw all cards on the table? I don't think the movie was better than I remember, but Oscar Isaac was, and Apocalypse was slightly, just because I remembered it being so bad, and he does look awful. But
yeah,
I remembered him having even less personality than he had. He didn't have much. Like he wasn't.
Not really.
I am the rocks on the eternal
like
shore.
Not that that's like I wouldn't say the Apocalypse that we've seen with the X-Men cartoon has a ton of personality in quotes.
He's a ton of personality.
No, he's theatrical. There's a difference.
Well, that's what I mean, I guess.
Yeah, there's a difference between having a personality and just being very theatrical.
I would have made him more theatrical in that.
I agreed. I agree with you, and I think Oscar Isaac could have done that. I don't know why he played this role. I mean, it's an odd choice because he's unrecognizable. Even his voice is altered to the point they can barely understand that it's him. I feel like there are other actors that could have played this role.
Made more sense than him. Yeah.
Yeah,
and even acting wise, he's good.
He's a fantastic actor. I love Oscar Isaac. If you haven't seen Inside Llewellyn Davis, I highly suggest it.
I haven't. You may want to check your mic settings. I feel like you're not talking through the mic.
Because my mic is all the way over there, and I forgot to put it in front of me.
There you
go.
Is that
better?
Much better.
Yeah. So, I mean,
now you're blocking your Magneto, so I'm mixed on
I can move
the
it back
development.
I moved my camera down a hair so that you could see it, and that's probably
show everybody the shirt. You got to show everybody the shirt and flex your big wrestler muscles at the same time. Yeah, exactly. See, look at that. Magneto was right. That's up for debate. But
he was pretty. He's pretty right. He was pretty right in this movie.
He's pretty right about that. Oh well. Yeah.
I mean, I agreed with him in this movie.
Yeah,
up to a point.
You will not stop me from murdering these men.
If you got angry at what happened to you, what happened to him happened to you. Although I feel like Magneto's life is just a litany of horrors, because I always say the sequels are the enemy to happiness. Like whenever they make the first movie, just to make generalizations, the hero and the girl wind up together at the end. By the time the second movie comes around, they're fighting or they're divorced or something, and then they reconnect at the end and fall back in love. And then by the time the third one happens, that girl is gone. She's never referenced again, and there's a new love interest. It's just nothing ever works out well when the sequels come, because you need something if everything's going well. I'd like to see a movie series. Actually, the only thing I think I've ever seen where it's a movie series, I'm trying to think of one where the guy's been with the same woman all the way through. Actually, I can. It's Naked Gun. Naked Gun 1, 2, and 3. He has the same partner in all three movies.
Great.
So that's about it. And I think maybe the Uncharted video game series, he has the same wife in all 3 to 4 games, I think. So there's that too. But yeah, not a lot. Like I said, it's the enemy of happiness. And sequels need to have drama. They gotta shake it up. Bring a new love interest.
This is the movie where I felt like the series, though I'm not super.
This was we need to reinvent the series at movie.
This was so exhausted, and it allowed itself to be so hindered by the movies that came before it in ways that it didn't need to do. For example,
the speech at the end.
Well,
Like, why rehash that?
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I get that they're trying to say, hey, this is the new normal now, but it wasn't.
But
It didn't need to be.
But like the Alan Cumming Nightcrawler wasn't the worst or anything, but I didn't think that the tattoos on Nightcrawler's face were necessary. Like I always hate when they do that. They're like, "Oh, here's a weird looking character. He's blue. Let's make him even weirder." It's like, no, he's already weird looking. He's blue.
They're trying probably to
somebody else or something.
They're
But,
probably trying to differentiate him from Mystique in the original.
You know what? Oh, don't get me started on Mystique. We're going to talk about Mystique tonight.
Hey, at least you got a semi-comics accurate costume by the end of it.
But here he is again. I'm like, he's a kid in this movie. Like, this is your opportunity to not have to do that. You can just make a blue Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It would have been kind of cool.
But
and I didn't mind Cody
to be so hindered by everything.
I thought he was fine in the role. But you know, he
actually,
nobody in this role has a lot to really chew on. But he was pretty solid.
No, yeah, I thought he was pretty good too. Actually,
yeah. You want to hop into
You're
it?
right. They didn't give him anything really to do.
No, I mean nobody. There's so much. They're trying to do so much at once that they don't
You're right about
give
that.
anyone very much. You know, it's everybody tries to get some kind of a story, and then like you only really get a half of one for like 3 or 4 characters, and then not much else for the rest.
Yeah, you know what? Hanif says it. Mystique and her X-Men. Look, I'm done. I'm done with Mystique. I'm so done with Mystique. I was.
They certainly used her a lot in these movies.
And I like Mystique in the comics, but my God, I didn't need this. I don't need any.
Well, it's because by this point, Jennifer Lawrence became a big star, and they wanted to, capitalize on that. I'm not saying it's right, but that's why.
Wasn't she always a big star? Even the first time she played.
Not in the first movie.
But even then,
that was pre-Hunger Games.
Mystique focused. It was already too Mystique focused.
Yeah.
And then they just double down on it, like for the reasons you just say. But they almost triple down on it. They make her this great mutant messiah who like all the other mutants look up to. I'm like Mystique, treacherous spy, shapeshifter Mystique. She's what? This is the way you're going with your movies because they allow themselves to be so hampered. Like the making this movie, they didn't have to do the Mystique thing anymore. Of course, like you say, they had a star, but like the X-Men can sell an X-Men movie. You don't need a celebrity name to sell an X-Men movie. They've sold a ton of bad X-Men movies. You don't even need to make a good X-Men movie to sell an X-Men movie.
No, I mean, I would say that the box office sells. The box offices for these movies were not, super high. So, I mean, they're high enough, I guess. Probably high enough to keep making them, so it must have been all right. But
she literally threw her baby off a cliff, Andre.
What is he talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, not in this one. But yeah.
Yeah. Jameel is supposed to join us eventually. I think we'll probably hear from Jameel.
Yeah, when you told me he was on his way, I feel like he was on the bus on his way home or something. He wasn't standing by the computer entering his home.
Maybe he did get tied up at work. We'll see. Jeez. Well, see how it goes. Anyway, should we get into this movie, do you think?
Oh, 202 hours and 20 minutes of it?
Oh my God, it was so long. You know when I sent you that message, this movie is 2 hours too long? I was only 15 minutes into the movie.
And did it get better for you?
Like I say, Oscar Isaac wasn't as bad. But the rest of it, oh my God, I didn't care. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to see another relationship between Cyclops and Jean Grey develop. I didn't have time for any of that.
You didn't really see it develop the first time. They're already together in the new one.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, okay. I get that you really do not like any of these movies. I totally understand.
No, I don't like any of. Well,
you don't. You really don't.
These
movies are not what you want X-Men movies to be, and you're not going to like.
But this one especially. Hey, I gave the last one we watched a 9.
Yeah, but that was different. That was like a Deadpool movie. That was solid.
I agree with you. Oh, see, you're getting into all my points, Hanif. Yes, they did do Psylocke so dirty in this movie. Let me get started. See that. They finally.
Yeah, I don't want to slide into the devil's advocate role I always slide into because I agree with you on most of these points.
Yeah,
the only thing is if there's characters that they want to put into next, so if they just had 4 random faceless mutants be his X-Men of the Apocalypse, or
They did at the start of the movie.
No, but if the movie did at this point, would you have been happy with that? If they were just nameless, we didn't know what they were. They would just look like zombies or whatever.
I think there should be.
Okay, but using a known character that doesn't really get a full 3-movie worth of story arc to explain who they are, that's not good either.
I don't think that's the problem with Psylocke in this movie. Like, whatever, make somebody a horseman you can't develop too much. Like, I have a problem with what they did with Storm in this movie.
I knew you. The second I saw, I knew she was in this, and I remember her from being in it and established in this. But I knew you would. I'm not saying I have any issue with your opinion. You're right. I mean,
you don't introduce Storm as a horseman of Apocalypse. Storm's white hair is not because she was a horseman of Apocalypse. Storm's power, how grand it is, isn't because she was a horse. Like, oh my God, they never disrespected Storm so hard. She was born with white hair.
Pretty sure her hair was white before that, wasn't it?
No,
before she became
dark hair, and then she becomes a horseman of Apocalypse, and she has white hair.
Well, at least she had to keep her hair. It didn't work out for Charles,
right? And that's dumb too. Oh my God, you don't have to explain and come up with some stupid reason for everything that is in existence in the X-Men.
Well, they explained why he was bald before. It happened when his powers activated, didn't they? It's like he's like. I thought they explained in the comics or somewhere, maybe it's way back in the Kirby comics, that like his powers, because he's like, it's all mind powered, that's why he doesn't have hair. I mean,
I don't remember.
In the original Superman comics, they came up with a really convoluted reason to explain why Lex Luthor's bald. You can't just be bald, and you have some reason for it, apparently.
Yeah, that's what they did in this movie. I'm just like, why can't Professor X just be bald? Or not. Like, they already went with
why can't they just represent... Why can't they just represent male pattern baldness accurately? Why do they have to? Why do they have to? Why do they have to make him? Why can't they just? Where's my story? Where's my representation?
But I think they did Psylocke dirty just because. Well, they didn't give her anything, and she's
exactly. That's what I mean. Like you're upset by it because they did nothing. No, they're only there to be a horseman.
I don't like the casting actually, and I like Olivia Munn, but like this, my point on this whole Psylocke.
I thought she looked great.
Is I thought the costume is good. Like they finally went for it.
The hair was good. The costume was good. Seeing her powers accurate.
Right person in the costume for me.
I was okay with her.
She didn't look like an assassin. Like I think that costume would have looked better on like the actress that played.
It's also very vague as to what she is before she's introduced. We don't know she's an assassin. They never say that in the movie.
Well, I mean, she wears a ninja outfit and has a mind sword.
You don't even know it's a mind sword. They don't explain it in the movie either. It's just her mutant power.
It's a sword.
I know. It's a cool sword.
You have to learn how to use a sword. You'll cut yourself.
That's true. All right, let's get into this. So we meet we see ancient Egyptian times, which I believe they announced. Where's it at? I don't want to skim.
I didn't finish my point. My point is you can have a sweet comic accurate costume, but if it's not the right person in that costume, it doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's rare you get a sweet comic accurate costume. You should just be happy to see that. Usually,
but
I mean, Magneto's costume in this one was probably closest to the sweet Magneto, and he looked okay. But it wasn't. Still, they always add a lot.
Like this,
it's funny because when I was looking up images of him for the pictures, I accidentally saw a picture of Ivan Ooze and I thought that was him. So, and I know that joke's been made a lot online, so I don't want to just tread over that. But it's he does look an awful lot like the Ivan Ooze character from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers film, especially in that lighting. So he looks almost purple there. I mean, I did like him as a character. I feel like more theatrical, interesting. It would have been nice if he was bigger because he's just sort of average sized.
Like he's smaller than Storm.
We do get some image
in this.
We do get some image of him growing large, which is cool, but it's mostly all in the mind, so they kind of cheat that. But it could have been worse. Could have been better, but it could have been worse.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the way I came away with it.
I mean, there's a lot of things in these movies that could have been better. I try to paint it with the brush of what they have to offer and how studios work, all that sort of thing.
His motivations were vague and made kind of no sense, though. He didn't have Apocalypse as normal motivations. He was just like, I watched TV for a minute in Storm's apartment. And
but he says it to Magneto.
Sucks.
He says it to Magneto that he fosters He's almost like the gardener in the garden of the world, in that when he needs to prune it or raise part of it to save the rest of the garden, that's what he does, and that's what he's trying to do now by getting rid of all the nuclear weapons, then having all the mutants take over, basically.
They're all acting like he's doing such a bad thing when he's like getting rid of all the nukes. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Apocalypse's team.
Yeah, we need an Apocalypse is right T-shirt. Just an Oscar Isaac's picture, like of his version of Apocalypse. I'm sure those will sell well.
Well, those will sell like hotcakes.
Yes, they'll sell like hotcakes. All right, so we see ancient Egypt. We see everyone worshiping. Oh, that's a very sweet shirt. There's a guy that does a series of prints. I have one here of they're almost like fight posters for like boxing matches or wrestling, where he puts two famous enemies against each other.
Oh, that's
I think I have Spider-Man Green Goblin one here, but they're really cool. It reminds me of that. See if I can find it. I think it's just right here. Probably buried underneath some other stuff. I have some pretty cool piece of art that I haven't got around to filming to putting up yet. So a lot of it's from a friend of mine. A lot of it's comic stuff.
Sweet podcasting here. We call this
segment Andre
looks for. Let me play a sweet.
Andre looks through stuff. All right,
I'll play a sweet. I'm gonna play a theme.
I'll find it some other time. It's all right. Let's get to it. All right. So, ancient Egypt. Shut up. All right, I quit. Goodbye. Forever.
When you quit forever.
Life forever, ever. All right.
Will you do nothing?
Is this what you want from me? Fun side note in this scene is a guy I had on, a friend of mine and a guy I had on my own show. Mark DeVoe did some special effects on these scenes. He worked with
he did
makeup work on some of the Egyptian folk.
Yeah, and he's great at that. And Mark's a cool guy. We had him on Trivial Debates too. He was hilarious on that. He didn't win, but he was hilarious.
Yeah, he's funny guy. He's fun to hang out with. So quickly skim through this movie because I feel like we don't get to spend a fuck ton of time on it. We do see that apparently in the past, Apocalypse is ruler, and they never really refer to him by his Egyptian name, but they do chant it. So,
can I tell you the best thing Mark picked from that Trivial Debates though? It was one of my horror ones.
Yeah,
and you had to pick a horror character to like be your bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked an alien egg from Alien.
That's a great choice.
I'm like, dude, isn't that just gonna turn? And like everyone was just like, dude, isn't it just gonna turn on you and kill you? Like everyone just tore him apart. And he was just like, no. Like, it was pretty great.
Yeah,
hey, Jaemeel.
You could raise it as your own and then make it like a kind and gentler xenomorph.
We cannot hear Jaemeel.
It says he's joined by audio only, and then he made a noise, so he's here.
Oh, he just
tapped his mic or something. He might just be.
That's rude.
He might be pontificating on how good this film was.
Oh well, wow.
He's trying to collect his thoughts.
That's what's happening. Then
trying to collect his thoughts.
It's been a surprise.
So basically, there's a ceremony going on in the past in which Apocalypse is going to shift into a new body. We do see that they have the ceremony that they do where they shift his consciousness into another mutant. They show him the powers of this mutant are to heal, saying that this will allow him to essentially be immortal. He won't age and have to change bodies anymore.
This is my favorite part of the movie.
It's pretty great, actually. And then he has four horsemen are just sort of nameless.
It doesn't look great. Like the stuff Mark did was good, but the CGI isn't great in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think he looked pretty cool as like old.
Yeah, that part was fine.
I always find it funny when they like show like this stuff in the past. Like even when he was in ancient Egypt times, he still had really cool modern armor that looked kind of ancient Egyptian-y instead of just having ancient Egyptian armor. It's still kind of got
his whole thing. He found celestial technology, so he
that's also not a thing in this. So that's not
because they don't mention it by name doesn't mean like he doesn't have big technology.
As far as we know in the continuity of these films, he's just the first mutant who
but then he has all this technology. He has tubes sticking out of the side of his head.
That's never explained. It's just part of his costume.
Yeah.
I mean, they do say that he kind of
In
gets
2.5 hours or whatever this was, they could have mentioned celestial technology.
They sure could have, but I mean, it'd be hard.
A lot better.
They're also trying to make this appeal to people that aren't comic fans too. And if you're like throwing
How
more
did
at
that
them,
work?
you're throwing more at them than you know. If they're like, okay, well, this guy's the first. I mean, if you say he's the first mutant, that explains enough. They're like, it's first mutant, and he takes over the bodies of other mutants and gets their powers when he does it. That's enough.
He's
I mean,
totally not
we
the
don't need to
first
be like,
mutant.
oh yeah, and he one time found some celestial ancient technology, and
That's
now we
Selene.
can, you know. I'm just saying.
Selene was a cave woman.
So this is where we see the body he's taking over is actually
Selene's
Oscar Isaac.
like the dude from A
Shut
Man
up,
from Earth.
I gotta get
which
through
is
this.
A great movie.
You gotta get through this fucking movie.
Man from Earth. Check that out, everyone. Good movie.
I know your opinion on that movie. I listen to your other podcast.
It's a good movie.
We see
episode of that podcast coming up tomorrow night.
We see Oscar Isaac is the plays the body, the mutant body that he is going to inhabit. The same time, his 4 horsemen, which are just nameless horsemen that represent the ones we know from the Bible, which are pestilence, famine, war, and death.
They kind of look cool, a little generic. Like one of them's like a vampire and like stuff like that, but they look okay.
Yeah, they look pretty neat. I mean, considering they're, like I said, they're just generic people. They have kind of neat powers. Like, so when they're trying to do the ceremony, there's a coup that happens where other people that are, want to bury the temple he's in, the pyramid, to stop him from his rule over Egypt. So when this coup happens, all these people start trying to attack them, and there's a big uprising against his forces, and then the insurgents. Much like the Capitol riots in America, they said we don't like this. We're gonna storm the Capitol and we're gonna make a change. So I'm trying to keep it
I'm
current.
thinking there's not. I'm gonna side more with like those Egyptians trying to overthrow Apocalypse, who are maybe a little more altruistic
than the right wing lunatics that and QAnon shamans that did the actual deed.
Not that I want to, cross any shamans tonight. But
QAnon ones. Whose mom whined on Facebook about the how they didn't get their gluten-free food when they were in prison. Anyway. So
you with us, Jaemeel? Your mic's not on. If you're with us, just turn your mic on.
Sorry.
There we go.
How's everyone doing?
Jameel's with us. Man, we have a guest tonight.
He sounds like the voice of God. He's just this like deep, echoey voice coming in without any video. It just sounds like God is talking to us through this podcast.
It's true. It's the voice of Apocalypse.
Pudgy, don't do it.
He's the Deus Ex Machina.
I hope you're doing well, Jaemeel.
Trying.
You're okay physically? You had some kind of work done, Davin said?
Well,
it sounds like you had plastic surgery, but I meant like you had some kind of medical procedure done.
Oh, we have an all-new Jaemeel with us tonight.
Yes.
He looks like... I'm trying to think of a movie where someone had horrible plastic surgery, just like... He looks like Jamie Kennedy in The Mask, Son of the Mask. Just like all these like weird protruding parts of his face that are all...
I should have said The Boys season 3. That's the topic du jour right now.
Season 4.
With Erin Moriarty. Season 4. Erin Moriarty. People have been talking about her supposed plastic surgery.
In season 3 of The Boys?
Well, season 4. Sorry.
Oh, did she have like breast implants or something? Is that the what they're saying?
People are saying that she had some facial construction done, and that's why she looks somewhat different.
Really? She's pretty young, isn't she?
Hey, Jaemeel.
Aren't they all?
How great is this movie?
This movie did not help in my recovery.
In fact, it hurts. It made it worse.
It's probably... I'm sorry for doing that to you in this time of recovery. Yeah, it didn't help me in any way in my life.
I would tell you, for my better health, I did not physically watch it. I did listen to a good portion of it. I remember this movie, so
didn't even do the homework.
Couldn't even be.
My mind's eye did better job than what was on screen.
Well, hopefully, the movie that played in your head was a much visually more entertaining one to go in this film. I told Davin at the start. I said this movie isn't as bad as I remember. I'm not saying it's good, but it's not as bad as I remember. I
can see where the money went.
Yes, I can see.
You see the money on the
Where
screen.
did the money go? The CGI doesn't look very good. Yeah, I like the opening.
Sequence is pretty elaborate.
Yeah, I do like that.
We're just
It's all
we're cruising
downhill from
along.
there.
We're cruising along through the synopsis of the film. So we're at
We're still the
basically
opening part.
yeah, we're still the opening
The
part.
good part.
Well, there's some fun stuff with like other people trying to sort of rush the horsemen and them killing them in various ways. Like one the girl just sort of like crumples one into like a little Rubik's cube of a human, and all that stuff's pretty neat. Like
there's
seeing
a
their
couple
kind
of
of
gruesome things in this movie, actually.
yeah. But a lot of big bricks coming down, smashing the sort of the pillars and making the pyramid start to fall. Them basically trying to finish the procedure and protect him at the same time while being crushed by the pyramid, which is eventually what happens. One of his horsemen manages to keep him safe from the rocks falling on him, but she in fact dies doing so, and he stays in sort of a semi-stasis, buried at the bottom of this collapsed pyramid. And then we get this sort of the usual voice. Actually, at the very beginning, I think we had the voiceover where they have someone talk about, mutants. This time it's Michael Fassbender as Magneto talking about how people
Every few thousand millennia,
people with these abilities can go too far and think they're gods, which is funny that he's the one saying this. But we get our usual stylistic intro where there's a bunch of X's and we kind of go through history. I don't know if this is like trying to imply that certain people that have made leaps and bounds in history, human history, are mutants. That's kind of the way I read into it. Like Da Vinci and a few of the other people sort of kind of make it like the Mona Lisa and some other bigger things kind of make some appearances as we're kind of going through history to the present day.
like in X-Men '97, where Magneto hints that Ace of Base is mutants.
Yes, of course. That's what you should have taken away from that scene on that episode. Ace and Base.
Aaron Fab. Are mutants.
Their musical talent comes from their mutant abilities.
But seriously, why else would they be playing Ace of Base at this?
Because it was a painfully 90s song. It's a painfully 90s song.
Yeah, but why would the mutants be playing that? They were dancing to that song. It's not just the soundtrack. That was in world. So it's just like
I see what you're saying.
Mutants.
Well, I mean, it's probably it was a popular song and a popular
probably
album.
Playing mutant artists in a party like that, I figure.
I mean, that was probably charting top in the charts in 1997. That's probably why they use that.
Happy Nation never topped the charts.
I mean, it's a pretty good song.
Yeah, it's better than the ones of theirs that did top the charts, like I Saw the Sign and whatnot.
Well, that song actually came out in 92, so there's a few years to go between it. But they just wanted to remind us about the time period.
So we follow up again with X-Men being tied with Ace of Base.
Always.
Both in 97 and this.
Always. Oh, Ace of Base and X-Men are intrinsically linked for eternity. And if you don't understand that, then well, you're not reading between the lines of X-Men.
Seriously though, if we're watching an MCU movie and like all of a sudden Happy Nation starts playing,
or any Ace of Base song. If I hear an Ace of Base song in any MCU X-Men movie, that'll be the final piece of the puzzle.
It's true.
Happy Nation.
It's a good song. You know what? And my daughter loves it. Oh my god. So Edith loves Spider-Man, and this is without my doing, and loves the X-Men now.
How is it without your doing? She grew up away from you ever playing X-Men and Spider-Man?
No, but like I've never tried to push it on her or anything, you know what I mean?
Right.
She just grabs onto what she wants, but she like grabbed onto Spider-Man and
I think that's
the X-Men. Eh?
That makes the best sense.
Well, she loves Happy Nation, and she always wants to listen to a Daddy's People song, which is the X-Men theme. She hums it. Like, she just sits there and you just hear it. She's like, na 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 na. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm very proud. I'm very proud, Papa.
As you should be.
Yeah.
All right, so we come to the future, where we see Scott Summers in class. This is where we learn that Mystique is kind of viewed as a hero amongst the mutant community for her actions in preventing the apocalypse in Days of the Future Past. Kind of a folk
now the
hero
movie sucks. Good little opening scene, and now this movie sucks.
And Magneto is seen as a villain because of his actions during that particular event as well. There's a bully in school that thinks Scott's making eyes at his girlfriend when his powers starting to activate and he's having trouble with them, which is what's happening. He goes to the bathroom, and the teacher's a real bitch to him about it. I'm not meaning that as in fact it's a woman saying that. Just like she's just really mean to him about like he's like I think something seriously wrong with my eyes. Go to the bathroom. She's like, yes, and then go to the principal and explain why it's okay to interrupt my class. And he's like, because my eyes are fucking killing me. So anyway, he goes to the bathroom. The bully follows him in there to beat him up. He thinks he's crying in the bathroom. His powers activate, kind of blasts the bully across the room, and makes some big hole through the side of the building. And he has to keep his eyes closed to prevent it from activating. Then we see an underground fight ring. Pardon?
I feel his pain. Constantly having to close your eyes.
Oh, can you see? Like, are you? Is it just like
my right eye? I can periodically open it. It's tough.
Oh, okay. Well, take it easy.
So that means you can only see one of us. I hope
just
you're focusing on
just let the dulcet tones.
Wasting your eye on Andre.
Oh man, come on now.
Look, Andre does have a nice shirt on.
If you want, if you look, it's all about choice. If you like guys that obviously go to the way to look like Jesus Christ, then you got Davin. And if you go to other people that
out of my way,
naturally attractive,
Jesus tries
to
look like me.
Oh, my God. There goes the Christian. There goes the Christian viewers out the window, Davin, chasing away our deep, rich Christian viewership. Now gone. Thanks.
Damn it, Andre! You just cost us our viewership.
You cost us our viewership. I was trying to help. I was saying you were. I was just trying to point out that you were pandering towards the Christian right crowd. That obviously no.
That's what I was doing. Damn it. All right.
Yeah, we want to make this very political. It's X-Men.
Since when was X-Men political? They they woke it up, Andre.
So we see an underground fight ring where mutants are forced to fight each other. We obviously see Blob get defeated by Angel. They don't refer to him as Blob, but he's wearing the Blob's costume, and they talk about him being overly fat, and he's
Are we supposed to believe this Angel is the Angel we've already seen?
No, this is a new timeline now, so everything's different because of what happened
since the Days of Future Past.
Yes, that's why.
Because I was gonna say if that's the case, then wasn't the case, then wow,
no, because that kid was. It could be like in theory. I guess I don't remember what year they said in X-Men 3 when the kid was trying to cut off his wings when he was a kid. That would have been.
It's like a pebble in a lake.
Yeah,
it reverberates both ways, in the future and in the past. So throw out what you previously thought you knew.
Yeah, this is all new continuity. Basically, I think the last movie was to give Wolverine his happy ending until they want to make more Wolverine movies and rip that away, and then let this one kind of go on.
That goes back to my point, though. They didn't even need to hinder. If that's the case, they didn't need to hinder themselves at all by the previous movie.
Agreed.
And instead,
there's no reason why there's no reason why they had to revisit that character at that time and do all that stuff. So, which we'll get to when we get there. But anyway, we see Nightcrawler get through. Oh, yeah, so Angel is this character with the big wings. Is the one that's beating everyone up. They really make him into like a punk rock kind of guy with the leather jacket, and then he's always listening to like metal music from the 80s. So that's
so
they're trying
weird.
To make him. Well, I mean, especially considering he gets metal wings later, it's kind of like a little dud.
Yeah,
but then they dump Nightcrawler in with who they captured from somewhere to fight him. Nightcrawler's just trying to avoid him using his powers, but he can't escape the cage. It's electrified. Yes, they do say they got him from the circus in Germany. At the same time, Mystique is there.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. If it hadn't been a reset timeline, it's like all of a sudden they do know Nightcrawler now because they met him as an adult for the first.
Yeah, no, you have to ignore everything before. Yeah, it's all new continuities now, new worlds, new timelines. It's like the one where it branches. Wolverine made it back to his timeline over here, but now because he interfered, there's a new one going this way, and that's the one we're in now. So we see that Mystique is there to try to rescue them. She uses her powers to turn off the cage. Angel's wings get damaged by the electrified cage while Nightcrawler's trying to avoid him. When the cage is deactivated, they manage to all kind of escape, and Mystique manages to save Nightcrawler. And he recognizes her as the hero of mutants that they all recognize for saving the day in Days of Future Past. We then go to meet Magneto, who for some reason has a regular job. I don't know why, having his abilities and just wanting to stay away from public life, he would even bother having a job. I feel like
He works at a steel plant.
Yeah, I feel like he would probably be able to procure money in any way he wants to, like just rip an ATM apart in some other country, and then like to get the things he needs. Like, why does he have a job? But anyway,
he's not gonna lower himself to petty theft.
He's gonna lower himself to work in a fucking oil, like an iron ore.
What's wrong with work? What's
Nothing's
wrong with hard work?
Nothing's wrong with it. I just don't see. You can tell me right now that if you could press a button and have the ability to never have to work again, you would still go to work every day?
He doesn't have that.
He could. He could go into the he could go into the mountains and pull the gold out of the mountains and then go sell it and make his money. That's an easy way to do it.
Okay, he could do that.
Yeah, why does
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he can tell it's gold.
Maybe of course he can.
Maybe he can.
According to this movie, he can just take the metal from the dirt and use it to reshape the world.
Jamil, do you think Magneto can fly by a mountain and know it's gold if there's any gold in there? You think he can feel gold, or just know there's metal? I think he knows it's gold.
The correct answer is whatever the writers want him to do.
Exactly.
Because that's seemingly what his power
that answer.
But it's the right one.
Define his powers consistently.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he can move stone, like iron that's in minimal brick. Minimal iron that's in brick or whatever,
or in a human body.
In houses
too, when there's a little too much iron, you could rip it out of your body. You could tell there was too much iron.
Yeah.
Well, in this movie, they have him just throwing dirt around and shit. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Well, that's because Apocalypse enhanced his powers.
Yeah,
but even you can pan for gold in riverbeds. You don't need to go to a mountain. You can just go to a riverbed and pull gold out.
Yeah, but he has to know it's gold. I guess he could. His powers are pretty good. Maybe
you keep talking about how he's a mega level mutant that can shift the poles of the earth.
I know. I've just never heard him say oh, I can feel that metal feels different than this metal. I always hear he always comments on feeling metal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why does he?
No, actually, he does say that remarkable metal to Wolverine, suggesting maybe he could tell it was something special like adamantium. You know what? All right, never mind. I take it all back. I bet you he can feel gold.
Maybe so.
I'm glad we tackled that scientifically, fellas.
So we discover he has a simple life, and he works in a metal factory. He has a wife and a child. The child seems to have some kind of powers in which she can talk to animals, or animals are affected by her. She may be Nature Girl in this continuity. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But anyway, she asks him about the necklace she has, and he says in the song that he sings to her, she says his mother taught her and gave him the necklace. And she wears it, and so basically he wants a quiet life away from all of the stuff from before, and he's living out in some never named but seemingly German country somewhere, or country,
Eastern European.
Yes, Eastern European. So we see Cyclops get dropped off at the school by his brother Havoc, who I totally forgot was in this movie.
Because these movies, why not just make Havoc the older brother? Why not? I mean, why just make everything stupider?
Well, they did, and they established that several movies ago when he was in.
But this is a new timeline.
First Class. No. This timeline is still the same.
No, First Class came before Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I guess Jamil said it does reverberate. I guess we still have to. I think the way to approach this is that from First Class till that event was all still within the continuity of what this story is, where we're going. It's just all the stuff that happens in those previous movies, like the future movies, is its own thing. Because everything that's happened about Cuba and all these things are referenced in all of this. So all that stuff happened. All the relationships are the same. It's just the stuff that happens in X-Men 1, 2, 3, and I guess Wolverine and X-Men Origins is all different timeline.
Somewhat, because you have the whole Wolverine escape situation, which is
that's true. So that's what I mean. That all took place after, in the other movies after. Yeah. So this is the timeline from X-Men First Class up till now is staying that way, but just whatever stuff we know of them in the future doesn't matter anymore, is what I'm guessing. That's the way I'm approaching it anyway. So here we go here. So then we see
That's very unsatisfying.
Well, I mean, that's the only way to see it because they all have all the memories of everything that happened in those past movies. And they're referenced a lot, especially in this one. So Scott's eyes are bandaged as he brought into school. He can't open them. He bumps into Jean. He's kind of rude about it because he can't see. She's rude back, blah, blah, blah. They meet Professor X. He takes them out into the woods or into the park part of the grounds to see his powers so they can figure out how to, treat him. He takes his mesh off and then destroys a tree. And obviously can't control it.
I'm not about that.
I know you wouldn't be because there's flames on the tree and his powers are not heat based; they are concussive. And I knew the second I saw that, I said,
trees.
"Davin's going to be upset."
Like the indiscriminate destruction of trees.
I'm like, Davin's going to be pissed about the fact that there seems to be heat coming from those eyes instead of just concussive blasts. And Davin's like, "I'm just mad about the tree." And they do some funny.
Gail Simone gets into this with people all the time. Because she thinks they are hot, whereas like most people think they're concussive. But there is something to be said.
Well, like I could understand the friction, right?
Yeah,
but still,
exactly
you're right.
So like that concussive force would generate some amount of heat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like, is it enough to set something on fire?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be like it is a heat. It's like a fire.
No.
Stream. It's supposed to be.
But
like,
a ton of force would create heat.
Yes,
but it's just like,
But it's not like Superman's heat vision.
No,
to use as a similar but different sort of thing. So then we see that
Poland. Magneto was
okay.
in Poland. Thanks.
Good old Poland.
Good old Poland.
Good old Poland. Hey man, I know a few folks from Poland. They're very sweet
there
people.
You go.
The woman that comes to all my trivias whenever she's available, and she's from Poland. Her name's Monica with a K. She's very sweet.
That's so Polish, Monica.
Yeah, I know. And I ran into her in a grocery store one day with her partner, and her partner seemed like the consummate like stone faced, show no emotion,
the
Slavic kind of guy, So I thought it was really funny. She's very bright and bubbly. So I just think.
No.
I assume it was a partner. I have no idea. It could be a brother or something. Should make those assumptions. But so anyway, we see that Moira McTaggart, who as we remember in this continuity is a CIA agent.
And American.
And American, yes. Who was witnessing essentially, as we come to know
Isn't
a little
Rose
later.
Byrne British, though? Like, didn't they
Yes.
hire a British actress to play a British character and then make her American?
Yes.
Why does this movie exist? Tell me, Andre. Tell me
Well,
why
I mean, this
movie was
this
made.
is just this part is just blowback from the thing they did 2 movies ago. So not saying it's 100% this movie's fault, but
I was like, you said this movie's better than you remember. I was just sitting there the whole time being like, why? I asked myself why 1,000 times. Where I've eventually had to check myself into a mental institution.
Well, you know why?
I felt like the sentence was repeating in my brain, and it would never go away.
Well, you should still maybe follow that impulse because there are other reasons maybe you should be there. But the reason is movies aren't written by one person. You write a script and you give it to the people, and they say, okay, we like elements of this. We're going to have someone else rewrite it. And then usually by the time the movie gets filmed, there's like 5 or 6 rewrites. So the movie carries elements of what was in the past, also what's in the yes, I know Hanif. Davin can't let us know enough he hates this movie. And I'm not saying he's wrong. But because that there's 8 different voices that get plugged into the script that all have their own agendas, so that they're trying to tell their own stories. And often by the time I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying this is what happened.
Yeah, it's what happened with this movie, but that doesn't
what happens
happen
with most big budget movies.
But
most big budget movies, pretty much all of them, unless it's someone that really has a unique voice that they just has established themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
Like James Cameron or something, where they just say, "You do what you want to do."
Yeah, the X-Men needed that treatment. It needed
they sure did.
That allowed them to be.
And you know what it looks
like a Foggy.
And you know what it looks like when they do that? X-Men '97. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So there you go.
But they're not going to hire Bo DeMaio to write the X-Men.
No, well, there's other talented folks that I'm sure could probably steer it in a fun direction. But anyway, so I'm going to fill in some stuff as we're going that gets explained later, just for the sake of moving things along. Rose Byrne mentions at some point later that there are certain cults that worship, since mutants are now public knowledge, mutants exist. There are certain cults that have sprung up believing that mutants represent some kind of religious figures representing the return of God or something to that effect. And various cults have sprung up across the world, sort of exploring this idea. And one such cult is, and also the knowledge of these cults believe that there was the first mutant that sort of ruled the world, but was stuck in that we know was stuck in stasis. And this particular cult is trying to bring him back. So she kind of witnesses this as she's studying these cults, and we see him start to rise. And as he does so, there's kind of an explosion. A bunch of people get killed. She gets knocked out. We see Magneto working back. Also, he wears glasses in his alter ego too, which I think is funny. Magneto, he's working back at the steel factory wearing his glasses and his little hard hat. And then there's an accident.
Because that's his costume. It's his Superman costume.
It's his Superman, yeah.
His name is he even has a different name. He's like Derek or something.
No, it's Heinrich.
Oh, Heinrich, yeah.
Yeah, and actually the scenes with him, especially that are coming up, are very good. But once again, it's just Magneto's just put through the fucking ringer in these movies. They just can't let him be happy. I guess he got 8 years of happiness between the last one and this one.
The scene with the death of his family, I don't think was very good. I
thought it was well done. I thought him screaming to the heavens was a little cliched. But apparently that was an ad lib thing they kept
cliche, like how he accidentally, or the daughter accidentally gets shot. It was all just like so paint by numbers and cliche. You see it coming a mile away.
Well, I don't know how else they would have done it. I mean, I don't know what else.
Write it better. That's the thing. If something's written better, then you don't know it's going to come.
Yeah, how do they accidentally?
Good writers do. They do things that make you think that.
Some things are cliched in movies because they have to be.
No.
Starting a movie where the guy's family, like starting a movie with a badass who's not a badass anymore and has a happy family, you know his family's going to die in the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie to put him back on the path of being a badass. Like, it's every Western movie is this. Anything with Clint Eastwood is this. Like, you know that's going to happen. It's not, like, it can't be a surprise. Oh, well, okay. If you're picking, like somebody once said there's only like 6 movies and they just redo them all the time, and they're kind of right. So,
which one was this?
Well, it's like there's 6 different themes you can follow or storylines, and everything's just variations of them. But this one is a bunch happening at once because there's like 10 characters they try to make us care about all at once, and it just gets overbloated. Anyway, there's an accident. Magneto uses powers to save a dude. He's worried he was seen, but he goes about his business and heads home. We see that Jean Grey's powers in her sleep are causing damage around the mansion, and for that she's sort of chastised by the other students who are kind of afraid of her.
Is Professor just sitting there watching her sleep?
Well, no, because some kids walked by when it was starting, and then she woke up and he was there. Okay. So I don't think he was there the whole time. He was in.
He watched her sleep for a little bit.
Yeah, every night. He just
there all night.
Just there for 10, just long enough to get what he needs and then leave. You know what I mean? I'm kidding. So Charles, talks her through, what's going on with her powers and trying to work through it. Yes, that is his name, Heinrich Gursky. So we see basically Jean's having a dream about some mutant that's trying to destroy the world, which he thinks is just a dream, and she tells him it's not. That something powerful is activated, and she could sense it. So he goes to the old Cerebro with Hank, who is keeping his human form in check with using the drugs from before.
Because he's just fucking Hulk or the Frankenstein's monster or some bullshit in his.
I don't mind too much how he looks in this. It doesn't bother me too much. But there is a lot of blue people running around, which is, I understand why they were hesitant to have so many of them before. But anyway, so when he's trying to use Cerebro to discover this, he discovers that Rose is there. Or sorry, Moira. I should use her character's name. Moira is there. And then decides to reconnect with her. Obviously, he wiped her mind before. She doesn't remember him or the X-Men or any of that stuff from before.
Very intrusive.
Yes. Yeah, it's not, it's kind of, seems pretty like doing something to someone that they don't agree with. Pretty bad. So, old Magneto basically is packing up. He needs to get out of there. We know that his wife knows who he is. Yes, Henrik is trying to leave. We do know his wife knows who he is. We established this that the first night they met, he told her he trusted her with that knowledge, and she didn't care. So they had a kid, but now they got to leave. They can't find the daughter. They hear her in the woods. They go to see. She's being held captive by the local police, who are not wearing their badges because they're keeping all their metal off of them, and they have bows and arrows. Yeah, that's probably why they didn't turn
That's
warm
a good
blue.
point, Henny.
Yeah, it was totally true.
Didn't turn angel blue because
So they accuse Heinrich of being Eric Lencher. Eric says he will go with him if he lets his daughter and the family go.
It's like how Guardians of the Galaxy has the green problem. Like they already had Gamora, so they didn't want Drax in Mantis.
Yeah, they made Drax kind of grayish.
In Mantis, they went with the beige one. Yeah.
Yeah, she just has human skin in that one. Apparently, James Gunn really wanted to have what's his name? The Micronaut guy, the green guy, Bug. Bug as a character.
Bug.
Yeah,
I like Bug.
But because of that Hasbro deal, they have the rights and he couldn't use it.
Yeah.
So
Bug was one of the standouts of that Ebony Landing run, actually.
They have bows and arrows to try to subdue him. He says he'll go with them willingly. His daughter's upset to see her father be taken away. Her powers activate, and she can't really control them. So the birds start attacking everybody while the guards are distracted by the birds attacking. One of them with the bow knocked releases the arrow, which goes through the daughter and the wife.
Why do they have bows and arrows like this?
Because they can't use guns. He's metal.
So they don't have metal tips on their arrows?
No, they're probably sharpened wood.
Stones.
Studs. Yeah.
Stones, but they fail to realize that Super Magneto can handle
Use
stone.
dirt. Yeah,
Well, that's not
dirt.
not quite yet. He hasn't realized he can do that yet. But
It's true. It's just like, haha, fools! I can throw your rocks back at you.
also, like, I don't know how well how much damage a hand-drawn bow and arrow can do. Because, like, my dad's a bow hunter. I don't think it would go through two humans enough to kill both of them. Definitely one. I don't think it would go with the other side into the second one. And I know she's a little girl, so she's not as big. But there are bones and all these other things in your chest that would stop it from going deep enough to.
It's almost like they could have wrote this scene better.
They could have. Maybe had her being crushed by a giant rock, or I don't know. Anyway, or fall off a cliff or something. Who knows? But anyway,
the longest nothing burger ever. This movie.
Mm-hmm. So we're only 36 minutes in. There's still 2 hours to go. So that's an hour and 50 minutes to go. So,
our podcast is going to be 4 hours tonight.
I hope not, because I had to get up early to help my grandmother move tomorrow.
Oh, that's very sweet.
So back in Antigonish. So anyway,
Say hi to your grandmother for me.
I will. Her name is Edith. So there you go.
What? Definitely say hi to her. Yep. Tell her I love her name.
Mm-hmm.
Tell her I named my first child after her.
We call her Edie for short, of course. I call her Granny, but so
wait,
Magneto,
what? You call her ED?
No. I said she goes by Edie, like her name's Edith, but I call her Granny. But people call her Edie.
Okay. Like E period D period.
EDDIE. That's Eddie. EDIE. EDIE.
Okay. All right. No one should be calling her ED. Okay.
Well, it's what she wants. It's short for Edith. Edie.
I know, but E period D period is also known as
erectile dysfunction. Yeah, well, that's not quite the same.
Yes.
That never entered my mind until right now. Thank you, Jamil. So now
sorry, it's the same thing if someone says.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. It's more flowy than E period D period. But I get what you're saying. So,
I'll tell Edie hi.
I will. Jamil made fun of your name. So
sure.
we'll overcome with grief. Magneto, is holding his kids and his daughter and his wife. She still has the necklace on, which he uses to go through the necks of all the guards and kill them all instantly, which is actually, I thought, kind of cool. Then he screams at the
could have
heavens.
Been some version of Wanda. Like Wanda.
No, we already have that because we saw in the last movie that Quicksilver was watching the TV with his sister.
Right.
So anyway, he kills them all, and then he screams to the heavens, "This is what you want." This is because God won't let him be happy, I guess, is what he's saying. Which apparently wasn't
what you want.
Which is apparently was an ad lib, wasn't in the script, but Michael Fassbender added it during that scene, and they kept it.
Oh, they shouldn't have.
It had a vibe. It had a little
But
vibe. It had a little vibe of the no from Revenge of the
Yeah, it sure
Sith,
did.
but
Jameel?
he's probably starved for like quality like lines, so he's like, let me just throw
yeah.
anything in.
Something
Please
Shakespearean.
let me act
Please, for
dramatic.
God, yeah, let me do something.
He's just on stage there. Hey, have you guys seen Revenge of the Sith? No. No.
So we see young Storm, Aurora Monroe, who is in the in Egypt.
No, we don't.
Using her powers to cause a distraction with the weather, so she can steal some money. She is stopped while escaping by the hooded figure of Apocalypse. Was kind of wandering the streets, learning about society. He almost got hit by a car earlier, and the guy honked his horn and yelled at him. As the people that are chasing her get closer, Apocalypse shows off his ability by merging them into walls and stuff and making them like turn to sand.
So whatever he sinks them into, yeah, but like, why does every Egyptian character have to have sand powers? It's just like sand.
That is kind of funny, yeah.
And, like,
because it's show.
So
it shows
don't
his
you know
connection.
Egyptian people, black people have electrical powers?
Yes, that's true. Do you ever see Static Shock?
Static and Black Electro.
Black
Who
Lightning,
else?
yeah. And Vulcan from
No, Black
Super
Lightning.
Friends. Super Vulcan. No, Black Vulcan, actually, sorry. So his name was, that was always kind of a joke in, do you ever watch the show Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
Just like an episode or two.
Well, there's an episode where they're kind of making fun of the Super Friends because he would like have cases based around these Hanna-Barbera characters. And they have a Black Vulcan up on the stand, and they're talking to him, and he goes, I didn't want to be called Black Vulcan. I want to be called Super Vulcan. But Aquaman suggests the name. So I said to him, why don't we call you Whitefish? This made me laugh so hard. So anyway, we basically see him kind of just wipe out everyone, and then Storm is sort of taken aback by this person. Then we see Havoc and Professor X go into the CIA. Professor X uses his abilities to make everyone freeze so he can get in to talk to Moira. They convince her that they are.
Why not just call Havoc Cyclops if he's gonna be following Xavier around? He's like, anyway.
I know that there's not a lot of character development on him, especially, but he is kind of a recurring character. Like we did see him in the previous movie, which sort of connected a few things. It does connect,
movies, I think.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But I meant, he carried on from X-Men First Class. He was in the military in Vietnam in the second in Future Past, and then and then recognizes Stryker and all that from that, so that connects to this a little bit. Another character, I don't know why they had to put into this, but anyway.
They're just
This
so
were more-
hampered. Like they just were hampered by everything that came before. It's just the biggest clusterfuck ever.
Well, I mean, that one is what came before within the continuity of these movies, not necessarily I get what you're saying about trying to tie to the, let's call them the original trilogy and then the whatever we got now.
This is hampered by all of them.
Yes. Well,
It
I mean, there are
allows
things. This is the third movie of another trilogy of sorts. So
And they
like
try
they
to hang a
obviously
lantern on it. They're like, the third one's always the worst. Like that's even a line of dialogue in this movie. Like they're
Yes,
even trying
which
to
is funny because it is the
excuse
worst.
the fact that this movie sucks.
It probably is the worst of the original three, but then we got a fourth, so original.
It's probably the worst of all of them. I haven't seen Phoenix yet, but we're gonna.
I don't think Phoenix is. I don't remember what I gave First Class, but this one wouldn't be too far
let's
below it. They give it a
Really?
5
Yeah.
or 6. This would be like if it'd be one below what that one was.
We got it right here.
All right.
Let's
What did
see
I give
we
it?
got. You gave First Class a 6.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking this was a 5, so that makes sense.
Mm.
So this is where we get the explanation as to where Apocalypse came from. Moira, they basically make her believe they are high-ranking people within the organization. So she starts telling them all her what she's learned about these religious groups and that they think this first mutant, is coming back. We cut back to Storm and Apocalypse, who's using the TV to learn language and about the state of the world as we know it now. And that's a fine scene. I mean, when his eyes turn white, he looks much cooler than when you see his pupils. So he should have just had his eyes white the whole time. He would have looked much neater.
Yes, but I Yes, because I think when his eyes turn to white from having pupils, it looks stupid and it's cliche. But if they were just white the whole time, I think that would.
It would have been cool if they were, because it certainly would have made him stand out a bit as a character, and he certainly would have been
Yeah.
disturbing. There's very few movies that have a character like that. I know they're trying to humanize characters, but when he's supposed to be like a godlike villain,
Mhm.
I could see him not having white eyes the entire time and be fine. It'd be very interesting.
Or you just show his pupils like in that beginning scene.
Yeah, maybe now, whatever. So anyway, basically he starts using his powers to enhance other mutants on Storm, because he's making her one of his his new horseman of the apocalypse. Then we meet the person giving Mystique information on where all these mutants are popping up, Caliban, who you recognize as a character from the X-Men universe. How do you feel about Caliban's representation in this movie? I like how he talks.
Calibans. Like there's a new Caliban in the next movie we're going to review.
Right. Yeah. Oh no, but that was in the previous continuity. That was what's her face from. No, she was Callisto.
Didn't we have a Caliban before this?
I don't think so.
Didn't we? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Anyway, he's some kind of an information.
He has
no
similarities.
I mean, visually he looks
Caliban
kind of
at
fun,
all.
and he has a fun language. He refers to himself as Caliban, like he speaks as a third person.
Yeah.
But this we see one of his people is Psylocke, who's hanging off.
They could have made it somebody more interesting. I think they just, for some reasons, they're obsessed with Caliban in these movies, which he's kind of a nothing Morlock character. Like, of all the characters they could choose from to keep using, they keep using. The choices they make in these movies make no sense.
Yeah. So she finds out information.
I'm so glad Magneto and Mystique were here to save us from Storm and Psylocke. I am sure glad they were here to do that.
Absolutely. The irregulars. Yeah, that's it. That's part of it. It's all part of the story. The intricate web we've weaved up to this point.
Thank you, Mystique. Thank you.
So she learns that about what happened to Magneto's family, all that stuff. Which is funny because I just found out that his family was murdered. Basically, his information. He said that it's not out.
Tanish says the actor who played Caliban has alopecia. Oh wow! Jada Pinkett played friggin' Caliban.
I thought it was the guy that played.
Was her.
I thought it was the guy that played Soho or Mike on. Not Mike Soho. What was his name? The guy from Barry, but it's not. Different actor. That actor's playing Metamorpho in the new Superman movie, but I cannot remember his name. So we see Cyclops get his glasses. Apparently, Beast just has some quartz laying around, ruby quartz laying around that can keep a vector field around his eyes, which is just ridiculous science jargon and words they put together that sound sciencey to explain stuff. So they do that, give him his glasses. He sees Jean for the first time. It's kind of smitten, and they kind of flirt a little bit, because he thinks that people are judging him for his powers, and she informs him that they're all afraid of her because of her powers. Blah, blah, blah. And then we see Beast see that Raven has returned to the school. He thinks it might be to see him. She mentions it's about Magneto. He's dejected, of course, because he had feelings for her before, and they had seemingly a budding relationship that fell apart in First Class, and then in the other movie, the other one, sorry. Days of Future Past.
Shot him in the spine.
Huh? She didn't shoot him in the spine.
No, Magneto shot Xavier in the spine.
Technically, Moira shot him in the spine because Magneto deflected the bullet. But
true.
So then we see Apocalypse visit Caliban. Caliban pulls a gun on him. Apocalypse turns it to sand because all his powers are sand based.
Because Egypt people have sand powers.
That's right. Same. Well, isn't there a character literally called Sand who is like a Middle Eastern
Canadians have moose powers?
That's right. Wasn't the character that wears the hijab? Isn't her name Sand? Does she have sand powers?
No, she's called Dust.
Dusk, but her powers are sand based, aren't they?
Yeah, she has sand powers.
No,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
So ridiculous.
What?
What was that?
Sorry, I'm just checking. Happy Eid, McBuck.
Oh, you're cut.
Eid is happening.
Oh, I'm not following him. Your mic's cutting out a little bit, Jaemeel.
Try one more time.
Sorry, hold on. Happy Eid.
Oh, happy Eid. Yeah, sure. Is it Eid time now?
Isn't
What's
it?
Eid?
Eid is a holiday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see basically when he's trying to intimidate this power broker type dude. We also see Storm has white hair now, and more costume slightly more reminiscent of her '80s costume, and she had the short spiky hair.
This isn't Storm. Nothing about
All right.
this.
Well,
is
okay,
Storm.
Davin. We know, Davin. I just want to say, we absolutely know you are unhappy
Do they
with
call
how
her
Storm is
Storm?
depicted in this movie. Yes, I believe they do eventually.
Do they?
Yeah, I think so. At the end, definitely in the next one they do. So
Well, they don't in this one. So
I'm
we're
pretty
just
sure they
going
do.
by what
I'm
we've
pretty
been
sure they
told
do.
in the movie. You're
I'm
always
pretty
very
sure they
clear.
do, Davin.
Well, I don't know. To me, I don't think they did.
I'm pretty sure at some point they do. So we see that Psylocke's sort of a bodyguard for Caliban. But, Apocalypse shows that he can enhance her powers, and she's sort of taken by that. Also, a cool thing with Caliban is his eyes. His pupils are huge. It's like mostly pupils. Like it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's a little unnerving looking. It's kind of interesting.
We see we find out that Nightcrawler's never been to a mall. So the Jean
I want to
Grey,
go to the
Scott,
mall.
Jubilee, and Nightcrawler all decide to go to the mall. But then we see that Angel.
Cyclops has a sort of a funny line there, though. He's just like, the only thing American about this place is that it used to be British.
Yeah, that's actually a really good line. When he talks, he wants to see something American, and then they say landing. Yeah, that's really good. But basically, Psylocke knows about the Saints. She basically knows other mutants that they can help recruit for Apocalypse's, vision. One of them is the Angel character we met earlier, who is drinking himself into a stupor, listening to heavy metal music because one of his wings got burned, doesn't work the way it's supposed to right now. So he sees himself as incomplete, I guess, but Apocalypse uses abilities to turn his wings into metal, which do look pretty cool, I must say. But I just thought the rock music is really funny. He's got these big metal wings and he can shoot spikes out of them now. And so Raven tells Beast about what happened to Magneto and they need to go help him. We do see Magneto go back to the plant that he used to work at. And basically, he's ready to kill everybody. Actually, I liked this scene because he says, like, "Which one of you turned me in? Are you the people that turned me in to the police?" And then they all kind of stand there.
He doesn't ask. He tells them.
No, yeah, you're the people, yeah. And then they know he's going to kill them, and he says, "Heinrich, don't do this." And he says, "My name's not Heinrich." And he says, "It's Magneto." And like, that scene is actually really good. And he basically is about to kill everyone when Apocalypse shows up with Storm and Psylocke and Angel. And Magneto says the only F word we get in this movie, because it's PG-14 or something, whatever one allows you to put an F word in it.
Yeah.
But only one. He just turns around and says, "Who the fuck are you?" Which I thought was kind of funny. He's like ready to murder all these people. But anyway, he thinks they're there to stop him, and then Apocalypse just kills them all, makes them all turn to
with
dust.
Sand powers.
Yeah, he just makes them turn to sand into the floor. It seems like he's taking things apart more than it's just sand, but it looks that way. I don't know. I'm not trying to defend it, but it's mostly like
he always sinks them in the sand afterwards, at least.
But he's like sinks these guys through a metal floor, and like the gun came apart like it was atomizing, like it was turning apart by atoms. So like, I don't think it's supposed to be sand. It just looks that way. So basically, they're recruiting him, and Magneto is angry at the world. They teleport him and take him back to where he first the concentration camp that we recognize from the other movies we've seen. And Apocalypse says he enhances abilities and made him stronger than he knows, and he can basically mold the earth, manipulating the iron in the soil.
He can move dirt now.
Dirt. He got dirt powers. He got sand powers too. That's Apocalypse.
I can teach you
how to control sand too. Like
that's totally what he did.
So with his enhanced powers, Magneto basically destroys
some shit here.
So basically, with his enhanced powers, Magneto destroys the entire concentration camp, destroying what is most likely a museum at this point in history. They're just like, "Fuck this place. Nobody should learn from it." So then we cut to a news story about that they discovered where Magneto was. His family died. It's being watched by Quicksilver, who decides that he's going to go off and find Magneto. We learn very quickly here from his mother that Magneto, well, we don't really learn it right here, but we're about to learn that Magneto is in fact his father, which was hinted in the previous one.
And he knows it.
she tells him not to go after him, but he says he has to, kind of thing. And she always wanted him out of the house. So we see them take Moira back to the mansion. We see Charles reconnect with Raven about them trying to help Charles. They go to Cerebro to use it to try to find Magneto. When they do, they find him with Apocalypse, and Apocalypse gets access to Cerebro through Charles's mind and his abilities, and is using it to take over all the minds on Earth and essentially get rid of all the nukes, which is like a hero moment.
Great idea.
Where he has them all activate the
hero.
nukes and shoot them into space or dispose of them. Because he when he's on the TV, they're talking about superpowers, and he repeats that word, and then he says no more superpowers when they get rid of all the nukes. So it's kind of like taking away almost humanity's weapon against him too. I think was part of it. I don't know why nukes would be a weapon.
Countries,
that was part of it too. So basically, they teleport in and take Charles. He gets knocked out when they're trying. They want them to break Cerebro because Charles is trying to break free of the control of Apocalypse. In doing so, he gets knocked out, but then they teleport there using
and loses his hair.
The kidnap. Yes, his hair comes out, and then they you see it all kind of wither off his head, which is very devastating for bald people. Very triggering.
That's why you thought this movie was.
We also get
I can actually relate to this movie.
Yeah, that's right. We also get the sky sort of going dark and stuff after all the nukes are being sent into orbit. We get a cameo from Stan Lee and I believe his actual wife, Joan, watching.
Was she there?
He's holding her and they're looking at the sky. I think it's her. So they teleport there, take Charles away. When they're doing that, Havoc tries to stop them, shoots a beam, but they disappear before the beam goes into the room where the experimental warplane is, and it makes it explode. Coincidentally, at the same time, Quicksilver is approaching the mansion and uses his powers to save everyone from the explosion, except he didn't realize that Havoc was there, and Havoc was killed in the explosion because he caused it inadvertently. Also, this is when Mystique is revealed to all the students as being Mystique, and they all see her as the hero that they all look up to. So they're all sort of in awe.
Mutant and proud.
That's right.
Mutant and proud. Yeah.
Then
mutant and proud.
Yep.
Then helicopters arrive with William Stryker, who used some kind of a weird air cannon thing to knock everybody out, and then they take Moira. They take Moira. Who do they all take? Moira, Beast.
Everyone but the kids. They take Beast, Quicksilver, and
Cyclops. Oh no, they don't take them because they use Jean's ability to hide. So Nightcrawler, Cyclops, and Jean hide. They take Mystique, and Beast, and Quicksilver, right?
And Moira.
All the adults. So then the kids sneak onto the helicopter to try to help them, but they get stuck in like a electrified cage kind of thing. Charles's hair didn't fall out yet. That's coming up. Yeah. That's only when they try to do the process to switch bodies.
All right.
Yeah, so near the end.
So then we see him basically. He wakes up and he's with all the horsemen, and Apocalypse is explaining his whole plan to sort of put all the power in the mutants' hands. And then we see the other mutants that are in the Weapon X facility. Who have been taken there by Stryker because they know that somebody psychically did this to the world, and they think Charles has something to do with it. So they want to see him. They couldn't find him at the mansion, so they want information on where he is.
Andre, quick question.
Sure.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Why would you have a holding cell that can somehow dampen mutant abilities and not have it in anywhere else in the facility? Wouldn't you have it like in every single
every door?
Like it didn't make any sense.
Unless there's like some high-ranking mutants that work with them, but I mean, I don't know.
But you could turn it off section by section.
That's true. Turn that on. I know. I agree.
This
Every room
should have that. Rogue doesn't wear control collars.
So Beast is reverted to his blue form because the drugs are back at the mansion that he takes for that. When the kids that snuck aboard are exploring the place, they come across Wolverine, who has apparently been experimented on for the last 8 years, because it's been 8 years between this movie and the last movie within this timeline. So he's been part of the Weapon X program and experimented on for like almost a decade. They say he's more animal. They sort of turn him into a weapon, and they erase his memories, and he's more animal than person at this point. But they release him, and then all the soldiers come in to fight him, and he has that big Weapon X moment with the hat on. And of course, it's Hugh Jackman again, where he fucks everyone up. And then they release the adults. Well, first, Wolverine, they help him escape. She returns a little bit of his memories that she could access using her powers. And he pulls out all the shit they have in him and then escapes into the wilderness. So, like, I don't know why we needed this whole fucking segment to tie into Weapon X again. We already got it before. We really didn't need to do it again here. It's just a way to shoehorn Wolverine in.
Because everybody had to know each other earlier than they previously did. That is the whole point of this movie.
But, I mean, Wolverine didn't.
Winking and nodding.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny part, though, when all the adults wake up in the cage, Quicksilver gets up and he goes, Jesus, what do they do to us? Because he sees Beast, and Beast is like a monster. He doesn't realize that he thinks that all of them have been turned into monsters.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Quicksilver is still probably like the highlight of this movie, just like he was the last one he was in.
Yes. When he saves them from the mansion, they're playing Eurythmics Sweet Dreams, which is a nice song. I mean, I like the Eurythmics a lot. Walking on Broken Glass is also a great song by them. But
Davin, aren't you going to complain about that is not his power set?
Well, they make him way faster. Like he's like basically stops time. Quicksilver's not like that.
Well, that's why they use so I can put time in a bottle in the last one.
Yeah. But how so not the power set, Jaemeel?
Well, I mean, in terms of his speed, like he can't stop time. He's just
it's not.
Although, in fairness, time does move just very slowly to him. Things are moving when he's doing
it's not about stopping time. It's just a Quicksilver can't go like that. Like that.
It's just a way to represent time or speed without, because it's boring if you're just watching a blur go around. Yeah. And, but also they did it in the previous movie, and they just did it again in this one, just to it wasn't necessary. I mean, they were like, "Hey, everybody liked that scene in the last movie. Let's make sure." It's just very much a Hollywood thing. And like everybody liked that scene; it did well. So let's just do the same shit again, instead of actually thinking of something.
Remember Bullet Time? Everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Bullet Time.
That's right. So, we see Stryker kind of leave after Wolverine escaped. So he abandoned the facility. The kids find a plane they can use to go to Apocalypse and kind of make this big battle happen. They also find flight suits that they all wear so they all look alike and look like they're kind of wearing leather suits like before, which wasn't necessary, but apparently, probably so they could have variations on the toys, I'm guessing. So then we see
they almost called this movie X-Men Wasn't Necessary.
Yeah. So we see that they rebuilt the temple in Egypt where they're going to use Charles's Apocalypse is going to put his mind into Charles's body, getting Charles's powers, assuming he carries his ability to heal as well, so he'll be able to walk in his new body. I think all the powers he gains as he takes over a body carry with him to the next person.
Yeah,
but he built this whole new chamber, and he has all these statues of all the horsemen and himself already built, which is really funny. It's like we took the time to rebuild the chamber and put effigies of ourselves in it.
So, Andre, are you saying that in Apocalypse's downtime, he likes model kits, like really large
life-size model kits? Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It seemed like he had a lot of downtime because he built some pretty elaborate big ones.
Yeah. He has a Warhammer collection in the chamber below.
That'd be great if he's just like, then I will destroy humanity. Excuse me. And he just goes and sits at a table and puts that big glass in front of his face and picks up the little Warhammer model with the little paintbrush. And he's just painting the things. Ah, damn it. And he like takes the little brush and wipes it off.
Where's my D20?
Exactly. So his Magneto's powers are already starting to start taking. Basically, Apocalypse wants to use Magneto's newfound ability to affect metal in all forms, including minuscule amounts in iron, to take apart the world, everything that humanity's built, which he starts doing when the X-Men show up to battle him. And then there's a big old battle when the X-Men show up, which happens for quite a while. During the process of them trying to shift bodies, Charles's hair falls out, so that's where we get the explanation of the baldness. But basically, everyone pairs off and has elaborate fights. Psylocke and Beast have a big fight, and Moira's there for some reason. Angel's got some cool face tattoos now to make him even cooler. Basically, it's just one big elaborate fight. Nightcrawler uses powers to teleport everyone out of the plane before it crashes and save them. Raven basically appeals to Magneto, saying he lost the family that he had built, but he still has family left, which is them, and he's going to lose them too if he keeps doing this. He gives Quicksilver a chance to explain that he's the son, but he decides not to. I'm not sure why. It's very vague as to why he doesn't. I guess he decides that. I don't know. It's like I want to figure. I feel like I'm smart enough to figure out why they would have made this choice. I don't know if I understand it though.
The sequel, Andre.
What?
You got to keep some stuff for the sequel.
That's true. Which I don't.
How many sequels? How many sequels?
Only one. Only one after this one.
It was supposed to be a two-parter.
This was?
No, this should have been. The next one was supposed to be a two-parter.
Oh, really? And they got cut to one because they knew it was going to be the last movie because Fox was buying them, or Disney's buying them.
Yeah.
So Quicksilver interrupts, starts attacking Apocalypse. But Apocalypse managed to use the abilities to use sand hands to come out of the ground to hold him in place so they can stop him from beating him up. It's kind of funny when he's like kicking his ass, like Apocalypse is being moved around and then kicked back. But he gets fucked up. Charles manages to snap out of it enough to there's still a connection. The X-Men teleported him away into another building from the ceremony that was happening on him, but that wasn't quite over. So Apocalypse awoke, and then when looking for Charles, started getting beat up by Quicksilver. Charles awakens from semi-coma there to realize that Apocalypse is calling to him. So he realizes he's nearby. He says the mental connection is still there. And he wants Charles to give himself up, or he's going to kill Raven, who tries to save Quicksilver by taking the form of Psylocke. But Charles realizes that they do have that connection, so Charles does go into his head, and they have kind of a mind battle. Apocalypse essentially wins, beats the living hell out of him. So he gets huge.
He's the hero of this movie.
And then it's kind of cool to see Apocalypse get big, which I know it's only in the mind, so it's kind of a cheat, but it's still kind of cool. But then Charles says, like, you'll never win because you're alone and I'm not. And Jean enters the fight as well and activates some part of her, which we're going to know later is the Phoenix, to essentially incinerate Apocalypse from the inside out. And he has some prophetic thing to say before he dies, which is like, all shall be new again, or something to that effect. And then he's gone. And of course, Magneto.
You haven't seen the last of this franchise.
I did forget that Magneto did have the change of heart needed to stop Apocalypse from getting to Charles before Charles could go into his mind and attack him. Basically, during that mind fight, he does find Charles's body, but before he can go to it, Magneto stops it. And Magneto says, "You would betray me," and he says, "No, I betrayed them," which is actually a nice line too. I liked it. So when they see Apocalypse attacking, Angel gets fucked up real bad in the fight. Like basically he's in a big plane crash, and he could be dead, but it's kind of vague. Storm changes her mind on Apocalypse when she sees Mystique getting beat up by him, because she had a poster of Mystique on her wall, and she looked up to her because of all that hero Mystique stuff from before.
Yeah, Storm is just a Horseman of Apocalypse and a Taylor Swift fan. That's about all. Like,
pretty much. And then we see them all. We see Magneto and Jean using their powers to rebuild the mansion. And we see Storm asks why. She said that Jean told her that, Quicksilver was his son, and what is he going to tell him? And he says maybe eventually, but for now I'm just going to stick around. She says she's going to too. We see basically the same speech from the end of X-Men 1, where Magneto says to Charles, what are you going to do? Does it keep you awake at night when they'll come for your students? And he says, I have a great swell of pity for anyone that would. Basically just the same line from the end of X-Men 1. And he wants to convince Magneto to stay. And Magneto says, you have psychic powers, make me. And they chuckle about that, and Magneto leaves. So, he's off to try to find some more peace, I guess, which he just seems to have trouble
finding.
Another
family to
get horribly slaughtered. That doesn't happen the next one.
He just keeps leaving. Yeah.
So we also see, like, the whole movie Mystique is kind of like always downgrading her hero status and believing she's not a hero and shouldn't be looked up that way.
The writers had done that.
But at the end, they decide she decides to accept her role as almost like an X-Men, like a leader or a teacher at the university, teaching them how to be X-Men. And we see them in the Danger Room. We also see her costume is very reminiscent of like the House of M kind of costume she had later, which is kind of cool. And we see all of the people we got to know before have new costumes to sort of match their abilities. Storm's got one, Nightcrawler. Cyclops is he has the silver visor, which sort of reminds me of the Joss Whedon costume, minus the full head covering. But we see them fighting Sentinels in the Danger Room to train to become the X-Men. And then we get a brief credit sequence where we see a stranger with a briefcase show up at the Weapon X facility and start taking samples out of a fridge, one marked Weapon X, that he puts into a briefcase. That's blood that he puts into a briefcase labeled the XX Corporation, which is a nod to Mr. Sinister that we never get paid off on.
That's what the franchise.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart.
I mean,
and
it's
decide.
subtly dealt with in Logan, but not much. Like, it's subtly mentioned in Logan, but I mean, if you look at Logan as this continuity to the end of it, where James McAvoy's character becomes that Charles Xavier, then I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's weird.
Well, it's time to look into our hearts and decide.
Jeez.
Go ahead, Jamil. Let's see what you got.
3.
Okay. Devin?
All right, hold on. Let me put in Jamil's 3. That's a solid rating, Jamil, I think, for this one. I don't think it's quite that good. I'm going to give it a 2. Wait, do I hate... Oh, I gave Origins Wolverine a 2. What's worse? No, this is way worse than Origins Wolverine. I kind of like half of Origins Wolverine. I'm going to give this a 1.
I like Origins more.
Me too.
I gave First Class a 6, and I like that less. I don't know if I liked it 2 less. I like it. I wouldn't rewatch it, but I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. There's like X-Men 3 pissed me off way more than this movie. What did I give X-Men 3?
X-Men 3, you gave 4.
Yeah. Let's give it a 5.
Wow. Well, that's a 3 average.
Mostly,
so Jamil nailed it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Good job, Jamil. Science.
I just like I see the efforts that is there. The actors obviously weren't phoning it in, but when you have a script and direction that just hampers the ability of any type of proper storytelling, right? It doesn't matter how much money you throw at a production, it's not going to help, and that's that movie.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I gave it the rating I did, because it's visually it's kind of cool. There are elements of it that are neat. It's just like the story and all the other stuff wasn't, and it was kind of a mess. There's too much thrown together. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is pretty bloated. They could have cut some of this stuff out and made a better film. They made a shorter cut. This is one of those movies that a shorter cut would probably benefit it.
But there's nothing there. There's just nothing there. It's all just so basic.
I'm sure there's stuff they filmed that they cut out of the film.
Jean Grey meets Cyclops. Oh, all these. It's just one cliche X-Men moment.
But Andre, what we're talking about in terms of there's stuff there. There's stuff there. If it was a TV show that was an ongoing narrative, that might be one thing. But as a presentation of a single story, there's too many cooks and too many different things being thrown.
I agree, 100% agree. I'm saying if they cut out some of it, like a bunch of that stuff, and focused on 2 or 3 stories, it would have made this better. Instead of
ultimately what is my problem in terms of the X-Men movies is that a lot of the things that are interesting aren't what the overall movie-going public wants to see. Magneto trying to find his way in the world, where he's starting up a family, getting more connected with his fellow man and raising a family, only for that to be taken away. That's an interesting story altogether. But that's not necessarily an X-Men movie that people want to see, where people get hit by lightning and there's a world-ending scenario.
X-Men First Class
Yeah.
should have just been Wolverine hunting down the Nazis that killed his parents. That should have been it.
Magneto.
That would have been a much more interesting movie than First Class.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, but that
Yeah,
was supposed
it
to
was
be
like-
the
Yeah.
X-Men.
That's what it was
Origins
supposed to be
Magneto
originally.
movie.
Yeah.
that they were gonna make.
The Origins Magneto movie.
But yeah,
Right, I'll
But
be right
the
back.
thing is,
Keep
like,
talking.
I'm always skeptical when we evoke the general audience. Like, well, they have to appease the general audience. Like, when we evoke this idea of the general audience, I don't think that thing that we evoke actually exists in the way it's evoked in that way. Like, because they're like, well, the general audience won't want actual X-Men, but X-Men '97 showed that was not the case at all. It did gangbusters because it should. It's amazing, and it's the X-Men. So I think.
But that's a different presentation, Gavin.
It is, but like, I think that the point is there. Like the audiences will accept X-Men as it should be, because that's what's interesting. Like what you just said, it's just like, well, the general audience won't think the more interesting things about the X-Men are the interesting things. I don't think that's the case.
I think a good movie is a good movie regardless, right? So if they make a good movie and it just so happens to be an X-Men movie, that's great. The problem is that when I say the general audience, that isn't a fair statement. I mean the lowest common denominator, I should really mean.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
They're trying to
But I don't think
convince
we should be lowering ourselves to the lowest common denominator.
Well, they're looking at it from a financial standpoint and not an artistic one. And
Yeah.
when we get artistic ones, sometimes you swing and miss, like with the. I don't think it's a miss really with the Eternals, but you can see the general reaction.
Eternals
It
is
isn't the
fun.
movie that people wanted. No, but it's not the movie that
fun.
people wanted, though.
No,
You're
it's just
never
a
gonna
bit
make
of a
all the
nothing
nerds
burger
happy.
too. Like they make these movies, I'm like, really? Somebody saw this and was like, let's
But-
spend $400 million on this. Like, people need to
No, that was a
be
more.
a
but
little
I-
more
I thought-
scrutinizing about what they think is good.
It's not about like that
fiction.
movie. Like people focus on the parts that they only put in to appease the superhero people. The other stuff is much more interesting. And Jameel's right. They don't spend enough time in that stuff because they need to make the superhero.
Yeah.
But eventually,
Yeah,
when you
I
try to
agree.
do that, sometimes you just make both sides not happy. You don't
Yeah,
really
that
make
movie
an art
could have
film
been a-
because
Yeah.
you kind of make a superhero film, and you don't really make a superhero film because you're trying to make an art film. It's like
Eternals
I
would have
get
made
it.
a better series.
I liked it, but I get why people didn't. But I liked it. All right, you want to go through some notes? Is that the next step? Some fun facts about this movie.
If you've got something you think is fun about this
I
movie.
mean, some interesting stuff. I wouldn't say it's fun.
Mark DeVoe worked on it.
I'll try to see if I
Yeah,
can.
that is fun.
All right, go for it.
The
Don't belabor us too long. This movie's painful.
well, it's not. I mean, I think there's some interesting stuff about this.
All right,
For
bring
sure.
it on.
All right, let's talk about it. All right, so here's some of the facts. Let's get through them. Some of the fun trivia notes about this movie. There is a cut scene in this in which Mystique acknowledges that Nightcrawler is her son with Azazel. But that was cut. It was ad-libbed and then cut. You can see it in the gag reel if you're going through the gag reel.
But wouldn't he be 8?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense. No, because it would have been from when they connected during First Class, which was years before.
8 years.
No. This was 8 years since Days of Future Past. There's still the time between Days of Future Past and that one. So, in theory, he'd be like 14.
Amazing how nobody's aged.
Yeah. So they're mutants, man. They all got
Yeah,
great.
fair
Well,
enough.
actually, in fairness to her, I mean, Beast doesn't look any different either. But they do mention that because of her powers, she will look young
Oh, it hurt.
beyond her years. So that works for her. Let's see here. The film was subtitled originally "Age of Apocalypse," but then they changed it because they didn't want to avoid any apparent the comparison to the Avengers: Age of Ultron film. Also, the Transformers: Age of Extinction movie, which came out around the same time too. There's a lot of ages of movies.
But they were concerned that it was going to be totally different than what the Age of Apocalypse storyline.
No, they didn't
is
care about that.
as well.
The Age of Ultron movie had nothing to do with the Age of Ultron story from the comics either. So,
No.
Apocalypse, according to Bryan Singer, Apocalypse's voice is a mixture of different sounds. So it's like almost the voices of the different people he's taken over the years sort of pile on top of each other. That's why sometimes you hear other voices come in the forefront, which is kind of neat. In the debris, when you see Magneto destroy Auschwitz, in one frame, you can clearly see the coin he used to kill Sebastian Shaw. So somehow it was still in there. It's in the rubble coming out, which I think is really funny.
That's pretty funny.
The song that Angel is drinking to when he's having a pity party is the song "The Four Horsemen" by Metallica from the 1983 album "Kill 'Em All." There's more here. Storm is. Oh, there you go. There you go, Davin. You're correct. Storm is never referred to by name in the entire film, either as Storm or Aurora Monroe, so it could not be Storm.
It's not Storm.
Bryan Singer has called this film a kind of conclusion to all 6 X-Men films, yet a potential rebirth. Why would you do that if you're going to put a thing at the end to make more? It's like this is the end of a series, but here's stuff to keep going.
Who would put Storm in a movie and not call her Storm or Aurora or give her a name at all? No one. Because that would be fucking blasphemous. That would be terrible. And no one would do that. So
here's what you
ultimately is the ultimate problem is from day one, this company has no clue what to do with Storm, and they've struggled with it throughout all of those movies, and this is what the end result is. They're like, well, what's the point of even naming this character?
Yeah,
we just like their skill set. That's it.
And then Bo DeMaio wrote, "And let them thunder, for I am lightning." And we got the real Storm. We got Storm.
There you go,
baby.
There's the Storm that you will hold in your heart forever and will never be overshadowed by any other performance.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say it's a bad thing. Here you go. So when Apocalypse has a quote in the line that says, "Everything they built will fall, and from the ashes of their world will build a better one." It's almost a direct quote from an X-Men animated series episode that he is in, where he says, "From the ashes of this world, I will build a better one." Tom Hardy and Idris Elba. Pardon?
Sorry, they have to crib better work, so
Yes.
it makes sense.
Well, it's an homage, I guess. I don't know. It's the only line that I see quoted directly from his appearances in the other show. Tom Hardy and Idris Elba were both considered for the role of Apocalypse.
Idris Elba would have been a cool Apocalypse.
I agree. What a much better voice. Magneto's powers are deliberately depicted as like the magnet, the lines that magnets give off in the movie, the way they do it. At no point in this movie is Apocalypse ever called Apocalypse. It's only in the title. His name is not
everything
referenced.
about this movie is. Oh my god. Continue.
Bryan Singer depicted Apocalypse as a mutant acting as a god, saying Apocalypse from an ancient time he doesn't understand he's a mutant. He truly believes he is a god.
Star Trek reference.
The book Professor X is teaching the kids from the beginning is the Once and Future King, which is the same one that Charles Xavier is talking about in the original X-Men. That's like a fun little nod to that. I did mention in the Deadpool episode that Olivia Munn had auditioned for the role of Vanessa in Deadpool. So this is kind of, I'm guessing them going, sorry, we didn't give you that, have this one. Bryan Singer had turned down doing the X-Men The Last Stand to do Superman Returns, and parts of the concepts he was going to use for his original critique of that, treatment for that were used in this. Apparently, Cody Smith McPhee was originally set to play a young Wolverine in X-Men Origins, but like in the past, but it stepped out. I don't know why that's in here. It shouldn't be in this one. But it stepped out to go do The Road, which is a much superior movie.
Yes.
I love that movie. The Road is an amazing movie.
Storm was watching Who Mourns for Adonis on TV when Apocalypse comes in.
And Quicksilver is watching Knight Rider. Or he pretended to be watching Knight Rider to say he wasn't watching the news report. Yeah, in the comics, Elizabeth Braddock, Psylocke, was a British Caucasian who swapped bodies with the Japanese ninja. I don't think they're going to get into all that for this. Elle Fanning.
Would have been a better movie.
Elfan, no, it wouldn't have. Come on, you think
Yes,
the
it
regular
would've.
you think the regular audiences are going to buy that? They're going to be
I
like,
do,
all right.
look. You left when I was talking about this so-called regular audience.
Yeah,
And I think when we evoke that term, we evoke
I'd
it
be
in
very
a way that
curious.
does not exist at all.
I'd be very curious to see the amount of people that read comics or know anything about the comics. Like what percentage of the film-going audience to see these movies that is. I'd be very curious. I don't know how they would have.
So, okay, two things on that matter. One, the general public, quote unquote, right? If they like something, they will dive deep,
Yeah.
right? We've seen it time and time again when a franchise comes out and there's books involved, they will go and they research the crap out of whatever it is so that they are in the know or have a better understanding of it. Two, Olivia Munn or a situation with Psylocke gets shown on screen. That's going to be just kibbles and bits for the alt-right, talking about DEI, that they replace a British woman with a Japanese woman in the movie.
Yeah. That'd be really
that.
hilarious if they did, just to see how they try to make it work. So Elle Fanning, Chloe Grace Moretz, Haley Steinfeld, Saoirse Ronan, Daisy Ridley, Lily Collins, Grace Carolyn Curry, and Margot Robbie were all considered for Jean Grey. But Sophie Turner was cast probably because of her popularity from Game of Thrones.
No, because she had red hair, and that's as deep as they think about the decisions they make.
I assume her popularity from Game of Thrones was also had something to do with it, Devin.
I agree.
Then we go. The trailer attracted controversy when the movie came out because they mentioned that one of Apocalypse's alter egos was Krishna. So they removed that reference in the movie when it came out. Did not offend the Indian audience. Alexandra Shipp,
audience over there.
the Indian audience, yes. Well, there are a lot of Indians, more than any other country in the world right now. So Alexandra Shipp shaved her head for the role of to get the mohawk for Storm. That was in the cap
for a role in this movie.
Yes. Oscar Isaac had to redub all of his dialogue because the rubber costume would be picked up by the mics too much, so the dialogue wasn't very usable.
It was Ivan oozing onto the audio.
Ivan ooze. The jacket Nightcrawler's wearing is similar to the one from Michael Jackson's Thriller, which is an 80s reference.
Yep.
This is the longest X-Men film to date. Taron
Sure was. It would have been even if it wasn't.
Taron Egerton, who you may know as Eggsy from the Kingsman movies, and also Elton John from that movie, turned down the role of Cyclops. He was offered it.
Wise man.
Zendaya was considered for the role of Storm as well. It obviously didn't go to her.
I like you, Zendaya, but you are not Storm.
Dazzler was playing.
Well, neither was the person in the movie.
No, Angela Bassett will be Storm.
Now, I mean,
she would still do it better now than most people.
Apparently, Timothy Chalamet, Ben Hardy, Charlie Rowe, Taron Egerton, Logan Lerman, Josh Hutcherson. Yeah, actually wouldn't have been bad. Dylan O'Brien, Jesse Plemons, and Jamie Blackley were all considered for Cyclops as well before it went to Sheridan.
So all the Spider-Man, actors, all the people who were in the running for Spider-Man also went for the Cyclops.
Asa Butterfield?
I did not, but he would have been in that list too. I always get him and Cody Smith McPhee mixed up because they kind of look alike to me.
Well,
there you go. I think there's some other stuff, but it's most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy this, which is just a sudden note. But when Apocalypse is going through the Arabic market kind of thing, there's an Arabic version of Iran by a Flock of Seagulls playing on the radio, which I thought was kind of funny to hear.
Did you guys have comic recommendations?
Age of Apocalypse. That's much better than this.
Yeah.
Go read that. It's fun.
Go read the Krakoan for me. Go read the Excalibur run from.
And to prove your point, Davin, Sophie Turner actually is blonde naturally. Her hair is dyed red for Game of Thrones and for this movie.
Yeah, but they didn't know that because they watched Game of Thrones. They're just like, oh, this redheaded girl from a big show.
Popular redheaded girl. My comic book recommendation is check out the She-Hulk run, the current She-Hulk run by Rainbow Rowell.
I haven't read
The
that
I
yet.
read that. I heard good things.
Oh man,
It's
every She-Hulk
coming
run
to
is
an end, as all She-Hulk titles usually
They always
do.
do.
So it'll be collected for trades. And I think around now the trade should be on sale on Amazon and most comic book retailers, online retailers.
Great.
So definitely check it out.
I'd also
We'll
like
be
to point
checking
out
that
one final note. If Havoc's departure from this movie seemed rushed, it's because it was, because he was on that TV show MacGyver, and he had a commitment to be on that show more than he had to be in the movie.
Oh, MacGyver. That's funny.
Is that still going?
I didn't thought it was newer than that. Actually, I'm surprised.
It's been on for a while. I remember. It's like these new shows. Like I don't have cable anymore, and I can't keep track of shows that seem to be on forever. Like didn't they do a new?
I give up on everything.
What was the Burt Reynolds one they did again? That went on for quite a while. I'm not
Smoking
sure. No, the popular show he was in forever.
Oh, like Evening Shade.
Oh my God, guys, come on! You're naming everything but the most famous show he was in. The Burt Reynolds show where he drove the fancy car.
Isn't that Smoking
Magnum PI. Magnum PI.
That was Tom Selleck.
Oh, Tom Selleck. Sorry, that's my bad. Tom Selleck.
And you're oh my godding us.
That's true. Thank you. I'm sorry. I apologize. I often get those two mixed up as well.
Okay, so you were talking about Evening Shade.
We were talking about Evening Shade for sure. Apparently, that version of MacGyver lasted for 5 years, 2016 to 2021.
Which is a good run.
It's a pretty good run.
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
What are they up
What's
to
up next? What are they up to?
I believe it is Logan, right? Logan's the next one. One that I do remember liking and hope that I still like. We'll find out.
I remember liking it
Can I
okay,
give a
but
rating
thinking it was overplayed. Hyped.
I can tell you right now, Jaemeel, if you want a spoiler, Davin's going to complain that he's too tall at least 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, I will give you my rating for Logan. I give Logan a 3.
Wow.
Okay, I agree. I'm gonna be closer to your rating than Andre's, I think.
You can't see the future.
The finale of that movie, I laughed in the theater, cackled.
Yeah, the worst third act of maybe any X-Men movie. It's a bad third act, but the first act is pretty good. And then X-23.
I appreciate the ambition. But it was a swing and a miss for me.
They had no plan for that third act, like the end. They're just like, here's what the scenario we want to place Wolverine, but they had no story in mind.
I'll have to go back and watch that. I remember it seeming like it was okay at the time, but it's been a while. And my memory's not great.
You could like it.
I mean, I could. I feel like it's one of those ones I'll probably like less than I did at the time. Usually it's because with the benefit of time and other movies that have come out that have, reminded me how good movie making can be. Because like a lot of these movies, I guess these ones came out when they already had sort of a bunch of good superhero movies. So it wasn't like we were sitting in a vacuum of good.
They were just still clunking or sending out stinkers, even though the MCU was cooking.
Yeah, that's right. So this is why we got what we got with this X-Men series. So,
well, you can support this show at patreon.com/X-Men Review Show, much like our great friend Jaemeel here does.
Like me, yeah.
And you can send your well wishes to Jaemeel because Jameel's awesome. And
he is
you
awesome.
Can get your sweet merch at redbubble.com/people/X-Men Review Show/shop.
I will tell people that if they want me to get better, the best way to do that is either to become a patron or to buy merchandise. It actually heals me.
It does.
Sweet.
And Jameel's mutant power is being healed by commerce. You may think it's electrical, but actually it's not this time.
It's not electrical.
See, what happens is it is electrical, but the money fuels
on the
current
of commerce.
Yes, it's a much more sophisticated version of the electricity.
Yeah. Contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com, which nobody does. They just holler at me on Facebook, so you can do that too.
I'll
you
let you
can also
boy.
follow us on
Yo,
YouTube,
Devin.
Facebook, and Twitch. Yeah, just holla.
Just scream at him. Just scream. Just send him voice
That's
messages.
what
He's
everybody
screaming.
else does in my life.
Just shrieking. Just shriek. I would love
You
that.
can find
Devin
our
gets on
audio
like
only version wherever you get your podcast.
Devin gets
What?
a ton of voice memos with people going, just screaming.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I would very much love that.
I'm not
Sign me
handsome
up.
at all.
I'm in.
You're handsome Dan. Please like, review, and
Handsome
subscribe.
Dan.
And of course, we are a proud member of the United Federation podcast. Do we have anything else to say here tonight, fellas?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna push your Hold Up podcast from either one,
Oh, of course. Well, yeah.
or whatever one Jameel's.
The Graphic Histories Podcast.
Go watch the Graphic Histories podcast or listen to the Graphic Histories podcast.
There's clips from it.
There are some clips, some shorts I use for promotional purposes. I have the episode that just came out is with James Aquilone, who is a writer and a editor, most notably working on the Kolchak the Night Stalker Resurgence book that's coming out soon.
And definitely a New Yorker.
Oh yeah, he's definitely got that New York accent.
Yeah.
But he's a really fun chat. I made a great talk
Yeah,
about horror
good.
stuff. Then next episode is Anthony Fowler Jr., who's a very cool artist and inker. After that, Sean Daly. And then after that is kind of a three-way conversation with people involved in this Friction book, which is kind of a collaboration book that has a bunch of short stories in it. So Carla Nappy was on the show before, and Joaquin Mobley, I think it is, and Heather, whose last name is Casey, but she's the editor. So it was a really cool conversation, kind of chatting with different creators that make this book come to life. And I got some cool people after that. I actually, the first time someone's ever messaged the show without any prompting from me or from you, I got an email today from someone looking to be in the show. Well, the publicist of someone who's a writer looking to be on the show. So that's cool.
We're
That's
hitting
kind
the
of
big time now, baby.
That's right. That's right. You're getting messages from publishers now.
Yep.
You're not publisher, PR people. Public relations person, yeah. So coordinating that one. She's writes a lot of YA fiction. It looks interesting.
I actually do read a lot of YA.
Oh, her name is.
You're young at heart, Jameel. It's a beautiful thing.
LRW. Linda's her actual name. RLW Lee. She writes a bunch of YA romantasy, it's called. So, it looks interesting. They sent me some samples I'll read through. So, should be fun.
Well, let's
I'll
get
check
out of
out-
here. Hold up. It's tomorrow. We're talking bug movies.
Bug movies. What are you doing?
Starship Troopers, which I contend are aliens, not bugs, but it's there.
In theory, yes, but they look like bugs.
Something I haven't watched yet, and Arachnophobia, which was.
Arachnophobia is a good choice. What's the one you have?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Didn't you tell me this already? Didn't
Yeah, it's like an
didn't you pick
anime
this
or something.
Oh, it's an anime. Okay, I thought Murphy picked that new Spider movie.
No,
That's a cool movie. If you haven't seen it, there's Sting. No, there's a new movie on Shudder that's about spiders, which is really really good. I can't remember thinking
that
of
would
the
have
name right
been
now.
way better picked than probably what Murphy picked, but all right. We'll see. How
Do you not know what the Spider movie he picked?
I don't know. I'll look
Do you-
it up. I gotta watch it tomorrow before the show.
Yeah, I
I
did
still
that today with
watching
this one.
Arachnophobia again, even though I've seen it. a million
Arachnophobia
times.
is a great movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
All right, you're doing. Oh no, you're doing. Oh, it's not right. I'm looking at your picture. Oh yeah, is it Arietti? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one.
Oh, The Secret of Ariadne?
Yeah.
I can tell by the picture. I recognize it immediately.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And then
So I gotta
after
go
that
watch
is a
those.
Titanic episode featuring yours
It
truly.
is.
Where she
Yeah, it
talk
is.
about giant monsters.
Wait, it's literally
No, we're not
Oh.
talking about Titanic.
Yeah, that'd be
Talking
good.
about
We're doing
giant
both
monsters.
movies. They're both
Other
movies.
giant monsters, not just the movie. The giant
So
monster that was that
Davin,
movie.
Davin brought the Beast from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is a very Davin choice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
picked the movie Colossal with Anne Hathaway, and
great.
I love that fucking movie. I'm excited that more people need to watch it. And Murphy picked Godzilla Minus One, which I've seen recently and don't know if I need to bother rewatching because I did just watch it. I watched it when it first came out.
Very good.
But I am excited to watch Colossal again because I really like that movie. And Jason Sudeikis proves just how good of an actor he is in this movie very well.
Yeah.
Right. If you haven't seen Colossal, check it out.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's get out of here, fellas, shall we?
All right. See you, Jameel.
We'll
Hope you feel better, buddy.
Yeah, Jameel.
I'm trying.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
And catch you all next time.
Next time.
It's over. You're finished. You're mine now.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.